Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't been through this part, but we're going back.
Yes,
okay?
we got to go back. We got to go back to the beginning.
I'm 51. I just turned 51 September 3rd. And I live here, and I love it. I love what I do. I'm an actor, author, entrepreneur. I'm the author of my own autobiography called Crying Out in the Dark. And I have a clothing line as well.
Oh, do you?
Yes, it's active wear. It's called Grind and Conquer.
Okay.
Yes, and it's doing very well. And I'm just happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. Now, what made you come up with that name, Divide? What is the name of the clothing? No. What's the name of the Grind and Conquer?
Grind and Conquer. Yes, I was actually I was in the gym when I she's about to say
Divide and Conquer.
I was in the gym when I came up with that, and I remember I was bench pressing, and I'm like, wow, I'm grinding, trying to reach my physical goals and everything. So, wait a minute, grind and conquer that. And that goes beyond, the gym.
Right.
Grind and conquer is just, and when I came up with it, grind and conquer is just not a brand. It's a way of life.
Yes.
Because we're all on a grind. If you think about it, we're all on the grind, trying to conquer the goals that we have set for ourselves. So grind and conquer.
Oh, okay.
And then the emblem that I use is two eagles. Because eagles fly together. Eagles don't fly with any other bird. And also, eagles don't avoid storms. They fly above them.
Right.
So, there you go.
Okay. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit what inspired you to write your book. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, my book, first of all, it centers around depression. I talk about different things in my life that happened that caused a lot of depression that I encountered. And depression is at an all-time high.
Most definitely.
All-time high. But it does not get the attention that it deserves, that it needs. Okay. What I find is that when it does get attention, it's too late because something drastic has happened. You know what I mean? So, and especially among black men, there's a lot of depressed men walking around out there. I mean, there's a lot of depressed, people, period.
Right.
But I say our black men because we're not quick to talk about what's bothering us. Because for centuries, we've been programmed, I ain't gonna say taught, we've been programmed to not cry, not show weakness, not show, your sensitivity, not be emotional, always, show strength and, boldness and everything like that. But my mind goes back to the shortest verse in the Bible, which is Jesus wept.
That's something, because I was thinking about that earlier today. When you and I did have a little small conversation when I was telling you about my son, and my ex-husband got on them. Well, I have two sons, and he got on them for crying. Don't cry. Men don't cry. And that kind of did something to me, kind of bothered me, because that's an emotion that God gave us.
Right. And
we're supposed to use that emotion.
Well, we're made in His image.
Exactly.
So if we cry, that tells me that there's times where God shed tears. So I mean, and I want especially our men to know that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
It's okay to not be okay. there's help out here.
Yes, it is.
You know, there's somebody you may, and I felt like this, you know, and I have somebody that's in my family right now that, you know, very near and dear and very close to me that's suffering from depression right now. And I let them know, you got this. You got this. You can do it. That's what they need to hear.
Yes.
A depressed person does not need to hear, oh, get over it.
Oh, it ain't that easy.
That's what I used to hear.
It ain't that easy.
Get over it. You know, oh, ain't nothing wrong with you. They don't need to hear that.
Now, was that from a male or a female?
Both.
From both?
And see, people don't know what you're going through.
Exactly.
People with, when I came out with this book, I had friends of mine that, you know, went to school. We went to school together. They contacted me and said, man, I had no idea you was going through all this. I said, I know. Because a depressed person has a way of camouflaging how they really feel.
Exactly.
I can wear a smile. You'll never know I'm torn up inside. Yeah. I'm torn up inside because I have a way of camouflaging. Because I'm in fear. I'm in fear of being judged. I'm in fear of being excommunicated with. I'm in fear of being rejected. So what I do, I put on a mask.
And how long did you do that?
Long time. Over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Right.
So you was never yourself.
My book dates back to when I was 5. Up to my adult
Is that
years.
where it started?
That's where it started, but I didn't know it started then.
You didn't recognize it then.
Until I got older. You know, and these are the things I was like, wow, these are the things that caused this and that caused that. You know, and it wasn't until just maybe 6 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, that I really started opening up, and that's when the book was born.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And it's doing really well. It has a 5-star rating on Amazon, and I have people reaching out to me a lot saying that your book really helped me.
It's needed.
Reading your book, I'm reading about myself. And I wish more men would get it. Yeah. And it's not about, I want to tell everybody this. It's not about me getting rich or anything like that. I have a message.
You do. I read it.
I have a message. I get very candid in my book.
You do.
I get very detailed. And I tell people the book is going to do 3 things. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you mad. It might even make you cry. Did you feel those emotions?
I did. And when I read it, it took me back to, because I suffered with depression too as well. As a child. Didn't know that I was in a depression, and it was hereditary. So if we don't catch it, we're going to pass that same thing down to our children. Okay. And so I found a book on depression in my mom's house after she passed away. And I was like, wow. And I believe that was the light that God, that was the time when God was exposing me too. Not only exposing her, but exposing me as well. And so, yeah, I've dealt with that. And when I read your book, it took me back to my childhood.
Okay.
And it took me to the point where I was beginning to think about other children. You know, when I read that, you know, like it's painful to see children go through those devastating things that they go through and not being able to express it. You know, not being able to talk to anybody about, you know, what they're actually going through. When I read your book and how you were violated. You want to talk about that a minute?
Yeah, I do. Because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of behaviors start early in age.
Yes.
Early in life, should I say. Starts very early. From depression to domestic violence starts very early because of what they see, what they experience, whether it's done to them or others. You know, I was violated by babysitters.
Sitters.
You know, I had a babysitter not to tell too much because if
You
anyone
have to read
decides
the book.
if anyone decides to get the book, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll share this much. I had a babysitter that decided to take me to sex education at a very young age because she wanted me to be prepared for my adult years. Right. She wanted me to be prepared for my adult years.
How old were you at that time?
I was 6.
Oh, Jesus. See. Did you ever ask why you, though? You know, even in that, you know, I know that confused you, first of all.
You know, at that age, like you said, confused. You know, I remember telling my mother, you know, and she, you know, right away fired her and everything like that. But you're going through the motions. Again, I'm young.
Right.
You know, I don't know, you know, what to do, what to say, how to react, or anything like that. But I remember that as if it happened yesterday, because it never left me. You know, I'm over it. You know, I don't react to the thought of it anymore. But I mean, if I had to write it all over again, I could.
You can, yeah.
Without looking at this, I could describe it from A to Z. You know, so yeah, it's and again, different behaviors start early.
Were you, is that the first time you expressed it when you wrote the book, or did you tell somebody? You say you told your mom.
I told my mom, but again, I'm 6 years old.
You're 6.
When I wrote it in the book, I went in detail.
Okay.
And more graphic.
Because you can actually remember everything.
Right. Right.
Wow.
I give graphic detail. You know, that's what stood out with a lot of people. Like, wow, you were brave.
Yes.
What do I have to lose?
Exactly. Because if you're not transparent, it's not authentic. It won't come across, you know, or give the message that you wanted to give.
And I find that there are a lot more men that have gone through the same thing but have not released it.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage men to release it, even if you have to write it down on something. Write it on a piece of paper. If you don't want to talk to anybody, write it on a piece of paper. Because the one thing about, well, the couple things about paper, the paper won't judge you.
It's true.
And the paper won't reject you.
That's right. That's true.
So, write it down.
So when you said you really, that rejection followed you.
Oh, yeah.
As I was reading the book, you know, rejection was the key thing. So what made you identify with rejection, though? Out of everything you could identify with, you know, what has happened to you, what made rejection stand out more so than anything else?
I guess because I was searching. I was on a search for acceptance, love, attention.
Because it was distorted.
Because it was distorted. And it's like, you know, I remember getting rejected because I wore glasses.
Wow.
You know, I got rejected because I wore glasses. You know, I've gotten rejected because I was maybe 2 years younger than the female. And I'm like, wow, 2 years to make a difference like that? You know, I mean, I went through a lot of rejection. And, you know, some rejection may have come from the way I maybe have reacted to certain situations. But had that situation not come about, maybe my reaction would have been different. You know what I mean? But I went through a lot of rejection. Then, you know, I had a lot of things. The relationship with me and my father, God rest his soul, he's not with us anymore. But the relationship with he and I wasn't the best. It wasn't super bad, but it wasn't the best because of some of the things that I had gone through with him. You know, and I talked about that in the book. You know, I love my father and I miss him. You know, so I want to put that out there.
Right,
you know, I have nothing super bad to say about him. Just some choices we make in life aren't the best all the time. And so that was a huge hit. And then I had people that were near and dear to me to pass away, you know. So it's like my world was just
You felt alone?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I knew I had my mom and you know, kids and everything like that, but I still felt I didn't feel complete. I always used to feel like I needed validation from somebody. Now I don't feel like that. You know?
You're healed now.
Oh,
So
oh
you're
yeah,
saying
oh
you're in
yeah,
a different
yeah.
place.
I don't need anybody to validate me. I know who I am.
Yes,
you know what I'm
that's
saying.
good.
And what bothers me though sometimes is that people try to hold your past against you.
Yes.
And I tell people I don't live there no
more. Right. That's not who you are.
And one thing about it, we all have a past.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Good,
and some won't share it.
Some won't
you know, it takes confidence to share your past, you know, but you have a purpose in sharing yours.
Exactly.
You know, and that's to help somebody else.
Right.
The same way with me, I share it, and I feel like if we transparent, then it will help other people. That's a mission. That's a ministry in itself.
Right.
You know, some people are ministers and they're not behind the pulpit. Right. You know, it's their life.
Right.
And I found that out, you know, through another minister. You know, true ministry is your lifestyle, really, and the things that you've been through. So let's get to the part with, far as where we are now with domestic violence. So what led you, and what was your first domestic violence relationship that you realized that you were in a domestic violence relationship?
Well, to set the record straight, I wasn't in a situation where I was being beat down or, you know, anything like that. What happened, I had an ex-wife that we were in a heated argument. And I wrote about it. I wrote about it. We were in a heated argument, and she had just come from the hairdresser. She's very high maintenance, you know. And I knew how she felt about her hair, you know. And so we were in the argument, and I was petty. You know, I reached my hand up and, you know, did like that to her hair and everything like that. And that really sent her over the edge. So she reached in and bit me on my chest and drew blood. So I called the cops, and they come, and I'm standing there in a bloody T-shirt. And
you called them because you didn't want to go any further than that.
Right. And so when they came and asked me, the officer said, well, sir, do you want us to take her downtown? I'm like, huh? He said, yeah. He said, this is considered domestic violence on you. And here's the evidence. You standing here in a bloody T-shirt. Y'all were in an argument. She bit you. I said, yeah, but I messed up her hair and everything. He said, you messed up her hair, but she bit you.
Yeah, you didn't cause any physical harm.
That's what he said.
Right.
She inflicted physical harm. Now, I'm going to ask you again, do you want us to take her downtown and book her for domestic violence? I was like, wow. I said, no, I'm just going to leave. And so that was when I realized that men are victims too.
They are.
And when I did my study, I found that there are over 1.5 million men that are victims. You have maybe 2 or 3 million women, but you have half of that number that are men.
That are men, yes.
But they don't talk about it.
Right. So why do you believe that? Like, why men don't come forward?
Because
what would be the scenario? You know,
I think because a man would be super embarrassed, you know, in most cases to say, oh, you know, I'm a domestic violence victim. You know, my wife beats on me. Because
it goes to that extent. You didn't experience that.
No, I didn't experience that.
But some men have where their wives are actually beating on them.
Oh yeah, you have men that have been beaten by their wives, but won't raise a hand at their wife because they don't believe in that. But at the same time, they're not going to just up and say, I'm a victim of domestic violence. Because there'll be somebody out there that will, you know, make fun of them, you know, start, you know, just really putting them out there, laughing at them, and they're afraid of that.
Right.
They're in fear of that. So rather than to face that embarrassment, they'll hold it in.
Well, I had a friend of mine, her and I were having a conversation, and she just could not believe that men can be in a domestic violent relationship, or victims to domestic violence. I said, yes, they can. There's many forms of domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just hitting, punching, and all that. There's mental, there's control, there's
Exactly.
verbal,
Exactly.
There's many forms.
Exactly.
And I'm thanking, God for you to come out and, and really speak on this, because it takes courage to do that, because you get ridiculed from, just being a man and let's even in that, saying men can't cry, in your book, there was a lot of times that, you cried. Do you believe that came from depression though?
It did. Mm-hmm. Because depression comes in different forms.
Right.
It does. And people react to depression differently. Mm-hmm. My reaction was shutting down and crying. You have some people that will eat.
That was mine.
Some people that will stop eating.
Yes. Some
people that will withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
Some people turn to drugs,
That's
alcohol. True. I mean, you never know how it's going to affect that person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So mine was, I would cry. And I shed a lot of tears. But I'm still here.
Right. And even in those relationships, that affected your relationships because you would want to express yourself or cry, and you would get ridiculed by your ex-wives. Okay, it was how many? One by your ex-wife. So even in that, did you experience some type of verbal or talk when you talk down to anything like that?
Well, I'm sorry. The book mentions 2 ex-wives. Right. So let me make that clear. So someone like, oh, he's lying. Right. I read his book. He lied. No, let me make it clear. It's in there. Right. I was told that I would never amount to anything. Then I was told, it was said to me, why are you crying so much? What you crying for? Man up, stop crying. But never asked me what was wrong. Never asked me what's wrong. And my thing is this. If you're a person that say you love me, there should be no conditions. It should be unconditional. Because your day is going to come when you're sitting down crying. Mm-hmm. And you're gonna want me to lean down and put my arm around you and say, baby, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. What's wrong? If I don't do that, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have an attitude of my own. You saw me crying and you just walked past me. Men have feelings too.
That's the point right there.
Men feel just like women feel.
So women also believe that men are hard. Not only, it's just not men feeling like they gotta be hard. Women feel that way too. Some women feel like, you're supposed to be strong, because they've been taught that too.
I've heard women say, I want a strong man. Mm-hmm. I can be strong, but still have a heart.
Right. Because you do have a heart.
Because I have a heart.
But, one of my mentors told me the greatest attribute of a man is his sensitivity. Mm-hmm. Him being sensitive. Right. And sometimes we take sensitivity for weakness, exactly. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean you're weak, but you have...
Some men cry when they're angry.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, I've been told if a person cries when they're angry,
ready to fight,
you better watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to get ugly.
Right. That was me. Them tears start. Oh, yeah.
It don't mean I'm scared.
Exactly.
I'm ready to do some things.
Exactly.
Right.
You done took us to that level.
Right.
So, yeah, wow. That's sad because now, our sons are growing up believing that they have to suppress their emotions and suppress their feelings. So now I believe that has something to do with the men walking around angry. Oh, yeah. Because they can't express it. So if you're not able to express it, it's coming out some kind of way in your attitude. I mean, mm-hmm. It's going to come out.
You have a lot of men walking around that are angry. Mm-hmm. They're hurting. They're confused because they want to talk, but they're afraid of being, again, judged, being rejected, being called soft, being called punk, being called everything but their name. So they rather hold it in and suppress it. No, I want the men to decompress. I want men to know that it's okay.
It's okay to cry. Or have feelings.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you less of a man. I always used to say, real men cry.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Like I said, Jesus wept.
Yes, he did.
And we ain't going to call him no punk.
No, most definitely.
We ain't going to say he's soft.
That's right. Right.
He was a man.
Yes.
Yes, he was the Son of God.
But he
was a man.
Exactly.
He was flesh and blood like we are.
Yes,
he got tired. He got angry.
Yes, he did. He felt pain.
He felt pain.
Yes,
he
did.
laughed.
He did.
All that kind of stuff.
So you're supposed to be not human because you're a man.
Come on, man.
You see that, we're going to have to break that. Yeah. So that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation because, men need to know. And if you don't have somebody to talk to, did you end up going to see a therapist at any point? You never went to a therapist. Would you recommend men to go to a therapist?
I'll put it like this. It's okay to go. If you feel like that's what you need to do, it's okay to go. Go ahead.
But you need somebody to talk to.
You need somebody to talk to. And it doesn't make you less than if you have to go.
Right.
If you have to get on medication, get on medication. It's okay. It's out
do whatever you need to do.
Do whatever
for
you need
your
to,
health.
For your health, for your sanity.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're all you got. That's what I look at.
That's the bottom line.
That's the
bottom line. That is so true. And you got to take care of yourself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because if I'm no good, I'm not going to be no good to you.
Anybody else.
Right.
Exactly.
There you go. So, yeah.
So what would you tell you really actually told them, cry. Express your feelings. But one thing we need to do though, as we're having this conversation, we need to create a space where men will be able to have that conversation with wives or whomever they need to, that honest communication be able to come. That space has to be created. Because if you're already feeling like, oh, I'm not going to talk to this person because they're going to judge me. That space has to be created so they can trust you, so they can really, because they need somebody. I remember even going through my process, and the Lord showed me that confession, how powerful confession is. Confess your faults one to another that you may be what? Healed. Right. We have to be able to go to somebody that we can release these things to, release the pain, release whatever, what's going on in us. But you expressed it to your mom. That was a form of release, right. But the healing didn't come yet.
Just before I completed this book, someone gave me the opportunity to release to them. And I remember one night I was at home, and the person said, just go ahead and just release. So I just need to scream. And I remember putting my phone down. They were on the other line. I remember putting the phone down and just screaming as loud as I could. Just screaming as loud as I could. I mean, to the top of my lungs. And I just cried. And that was my first release. And I remember feeling better.
How long ago was that?
Maybe 7, 8 years ago, maybe.
Wow. Yeah. So that was a form of deliverance.
And then writing this book, I had to relive everything. So that was a whole other process. Because again, I went all the way back to the time I was 5, up until my 40s. And I even wrote in the book, I said, as I'm writing this, I'm in tears.
I saw that.
Yeah, because it was painful.
Right.
But once I finished it, I was able to sit back and say.
So there was healing in that.
Yeah.
There was healing in that.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was Tyler Perry, had a well, he saw Oprah Winfrey she had some type of segment, and she was saying how writing was, they had a word for it, and I can't remember the actual word, but he would write, I guess it was a guest on her show, and that's what he was saying. She was saying to write your feelings down, express yourself, it's healing in that.
That's why I said earlier.
Yeah.
The paper,
get a journal.
Exactly. And the paper won't judge you.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So you need to do that. Well, what would you say to the women? What would you say to women? And even concerning men? Because they need to be taught too. They need to understand. Because you can only speak from your perspective. I can speak from my perspective. And that's how we learn one from another,
right. I would say to any woman, if you already know that your husband or your boyfriend is dealing with something, and you come across a time where they're expressing it, or they may not even be verbally expressing it, but you can see them acting out in certain ways, don't become defensive right away. First of all, let them know, I'm here for you, baby. I'm here for you. I wanted to know somebody was there for me. Sometimes I just wanted to talk and you not say nothing. So I would tell women, if a man is going through depression or he's going through something, whatever, and he's venting, just listen. Don't offer no advice at that time if he doesn't ask for it. Just listen. If you have nothing else to say, but go ahead and get it out there. I'm here. I'm listening. They just want to know that they have that listening ear. Then ease in. You know what, baby? If you want to talk to somebody, or if you want to I'll go with you. Don't say go get. Say, I'll go with you.
Gotcha.
Because they want to know that they have that support system there. And the first person, if they're married, they're gonna look for is their wife.
So if the wife don't do it, they're gonna look outside that marriage.
They're gonna look outside. Hopefully they'll go to their mom or their sister.
Right, but sometimes it don't happen.
Sometimes it don't happen like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not giving them what they feel like they need. So, exactly. And somebody else will sit down and I believe that's how a lot of infidelity. I ain't trying to be funny, but sometimes that's how it happens because the other person's not giving that person what they need, so they go and release it, and all of a sudden somebody's there for them to be able to talk to.
I wrote about that.
Oh, okay.
I wrote about that.
So did you fall in love with her? Did that make you? You didn't? Okay.
No.
She was just there for you at that point in time.
Just there. That's why it's important. And again, I don't live there no more. Okay? I don't live there no more.
Right.
That's part of my past. It's a dark past. You know what I'm saying? And I don't joy in, some of the decisions that I made. But I don't condemn myself anymore either.
Right.
Because I feel like God has forgiven me. So it's time for me to just move on.
So how long did it take for you to forgive yourself, though?
Ooh, that's the hardest part.
That's the part right there, isn't it?
And I'm telling you, forgiving yourself is the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
And it took me a long time. I finally, it finally happened.
Okay.
But it took some time though. Now you're talking about something that would take you under.
So that took you into a deeper depression too, as well?
It took me deep because I was like, man, how could I do this? Or, how did I end up? You just start in your mind and you're asking yourself, why? Why did you do this to this person? Or why did you do that? Whatever, So yeah, forgiving yourself is hard. It's hard. It took a lot of fasting and praying, asking God to help me.
Yeah.
You definitely can't do it on your own.
Now, do you still deal with those moments of depression, or because I know that? Oh, you don't. Oh, okay.
I don't not like that. There are times when you sometimes you're by yourself and your mind is idle,
Yeah.
You know, you might go back in your mind a little bit, but it doesn't get me to the point of, you know, I'm in a slump or all that kind of stuff. I might get quiet a little bit, but it's nothing like it used to be. It used to be a thing where I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't come out of my room, anything like that. It used to be that bad.
Well, okay, I saw in the book also about suicide. So let's talk a little bit about that. So did the depression lead you to suicidal thoughts? Or you actually wanted to commit suicide?
Twice.
Twice?
I made 2 attempts.
So what did you do in the...
What did I do? My first attempt was I went to a set of train tracks. And then the second attempt, I tried to suffocate myself with plastic.
Jesus.
Thick plastic. Yeah.
Were you married in that time? Or you were married? And this is all because, too, you wasn't able to express yourself.
It was a conglomerate of things.
Of things.
Yeah. It was a combination. Large combination.
That depression is real.
Oh, yeah.
That depression is no joke, and it's not nothing to play with. And a lot of people that's in a depression don't even know they're there. They can't even.
We have a lot of people that are depressed and don't know it. Then again, you have a lot of people that know it, but are scared to say something about it because they're afraid of the response.
So what are the signs? Because, you know, even if there's childhood depression.
Oh, yeah.
So there are signs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I, you know, and I just want to admonish parents that's on the, you know, that's listening to really pay close attention to your children.
Definitely.
Really play, you know, as I was reading your book, you know, that's what really caught my attention is, you know, how the enemy, you know, comes after the children. You know, and, and he don't have an age.
No,
he don't care.
He has no respect.
No, none at all.
Yep.
But I see this as a cycle. Like the majority of issues begin right there in the childhood. Either it's abandonment, you know, domestic violence, something that you see that traumatizes you.
I was at a event last week, I believe it was, in Columbia, South Carolina, and they were talking about domestic violence, and this one young lady got up and she said that her home, she witnessed it in her home at a young age, and sometimes when she was sent to her aunt's house, she would go there and see the same thing. Wow. So she was surrounded by it. Again, behaviors start at a young age.
They do.
They start at a young age. You know, you have some men and women that are the assailants because of something they saw at an early age. They might have saw their mother do, might have saw their father do. They might have saw or heard the way that their father talked to their mom, or vice versa. And so now that's how they talk. And they think that that's the way to be. Exactly. You know, and it's not. And then you have some, you know, I really hate that it's like this, but it's the truth. You have some females that look at domestic violence as an act of love. Yeah. They look at it as an act of love. They do. Because they're afraid. Then somewhere along the line, they were made to believe that this is happening because I love you. Because that's what they're hearing. And that's what their mind is programmed to hear. Right. Yeah. And I think, you know, we talked about this one time and I believe that started in childhood too. And a lot of people, you know, don't realize, you know, and I'm not saying do not chastise your children, but we have to educate our children more so than beat them, because, you know, you look at my mother loved me or my father loved me, but they were, you know, some of those beatings and whoopings was a form of abuse. Exactly. You know, and that's just being honest. Exactly. Extension cords and, you know, all those different things that we used to get whooped with, you know, that was a form of abuse. And some of that has led to depression, and further acts of domestic violence.
Yes.
And see, the thing about it too also is, you know, we were talking about signs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the signs aren't always shown because that person or those people are so, they're afraid. They've gotten to a place where maybe they don't even realize themselves. And so the signs are covered up. The signs are covered up so that therefore no attention will be drawn to them.
You saying as far as they don't see it.
Right.
Mentally, they haven't, you know, because they're accustomed to this.
And some people will put up a mental block.
They will. You know, I've seen that too.
You know,
they don't even want to.
They don't want to look at
expose
the reality,
it or right.
Or expose what's going on.
Yes, exactly.
You know? And so it's. I mean, there are millions of people. I wrote in my book that there are at least 350 million people, probably more, nationwide, that are suffering with it.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
So we need more people to come out and talk about it.
And you know what? If I may say this, a kind word or an act of kindness can save a life. I wrote in the book about a man that committed suicide by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge in California. And all he wanted was somebody to smile at him.
Wow.
That's all he wanted. Was somebody. I just want somebody to smile at me.
He couldn't get that.
And no one smiled at him. You got people. Let me tell you. I was in Portland, Oregon, some years ago. It's about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I was traveling with a band. I was driving, and I came across this homeless guy, about maybe 25 years old. But to look at him, you would think he was like maybe 50 because the streets had just run him down. And he was about to eat some stale food. I said, hold up, don't eat that. Are you hungry? He said, yeah. I said, come on, let's go to the restaurant across the street. And so when I walked in with him, right away, they were ready to put him out of the restaurant. And I said, hold up, he's with me. He's fine. He's just going to the bathroom, wash his face, you know, clean up himself. He's come back out, we're going to eat. And what he told me was this. He said, I will never forget you. He said, because you're the only person that had bothered to stop and just talk to me.
Wow.
You got people that just want a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got some people that don't even want a full-fledged conversation. They just want you to say hello.
Just speak to them.
Just speak to them. How you doing?
In this world, I mean, the Bible is actually fulfilling itself because what it says that the wickedness was going to increase.
Oh yeah.
And the love was going to wax. Yes.
Wax cold.
And we're seeing it.
Yep.
You know, we're seeing that. People, I mean, and that's what's going to win.
Right.
You know, and when love never going to fail.
Right.
So if we had more love in our hearts, and I know that, you know, in this world, you know, there's evil, but that doesn't mean that we all have to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we say we are children of God.
Right.
That's, you know, if we're children of God, then we're supposed to express that.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
We're supposed to express that no matter way, you know, period. Because that's how, you know, we are identified. That's what the Bible says. That's how men gonna know that you are my disciples, the love you have one for another. And so that's what I believe that's missing, you know, is the love, real, true love.
Right.
You know.
And I wanted to be known that it's not okay to ball your fist up at a man. It's not okay to ball your fist up at a woman.
That's right.
That's not okay.
It's not. It's not.
I've had people to tell me how they were in situations where their husbands or their boyfriend would drag them across the floor by their hair.
Some terrible stories about this.
Punch them in their ear, in their face. And I saw pictures on Instagram where this young lady got beat so bad they had to almost sew her mouth back together and all kind of stuff.
It's terrible.
It was barbaric.
Yeah, it is.
So I wanted to be known that whether it's man or woman, because again, you have male and female victims.
Yes, you do. Yes.
It's not okay.
It's not.
It's not okay. It's not cool. It's not none of that.
So what would you suggest to them? Go get you some help.
Get you some.
Get you some help. Exactly. Go get you some help.
Not only does the victim need help, but the assailant, the attacker needs help.
Needs help. Exactly. So we always talk to the victim, but the attacker.
Let's talk to the attacker.
Yes, exactly. We need to talk to the attacker because, they do feel like it's okay.
Right.
And then they go and they leave one and they go and do it to someone else. Right. You're ruining other people's lives, And I don't believe that, no one has the right. No one has the right. My mother used to say, don't hit no man because he may hit you back. Mm-hmm. So I always kept that in my mind.
Because you provoke him.
Exactly. He said he may hit you back.
Exactly. And some people do that.
Mm-hmm.
They do that, say, go ahead and hit me. Because they're in their mind, I'm going to call the cops.
Right.
You going down.
Right.
But you provoke him.
Provoking you to do
So I would say, again, it's not good to ball your fist up at a man or a woman. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I will say this in their defense, that if you realize that you need help, it's okay.
Yes.
Go get you some help because there's help for you too. Mm-hmm. You're not alone. You're not disregarded.
That's right.
When it comes to, the help being available for you too.
Right.
You can go to that counselor and say, you know what? I hit my wife. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad after it. I want you to help. You're going to get the same help as the victim.
As the victim. Exactly. Being the victimizer.
Yeah.
Because the victimizer definitely needs help.
Definitely needs help.
And we can, and one thing about it is finding out the core of that. What's the root cause of your anger?
Right. And
some people don't evaluate themselves. They evaluate everybody else.
But I guarantee you, once they start talking,
mm-hmm.
they'll go all the way back somewhere in their childhood.
Most definitely. You're right. That's usually where it happens. And most issues start right there in your childhood. And that's the saddest thing. That's why we want to say it again. Pay attention to your children.
Yes.
Watch your children.
Watch your children.
Stop letting everybody keep your children. Because it was a babysitter. Right. And we know that your mom had to go to work or whatever the case may be, but you never know who the culprit is. You don't know. I know a lot of times people let their children go spend the night over other people's houses, and it happens there.
Right.
I heard a lot of testimonies where they went to go play with their friends, and some adult, came and molested them or whatever the case may be. Right. We're living in times where we can't.
Perilous times.
Yes, we're in those times,
right.
Right. And we know that the enemy's time is short, so he's trying to get these children. And my prayer is just keep, pay attention to your children. Pay attention when your children's behavior change.
Right, exactly.
Because you're going to see a shift in their behavior. If something happened to them, you're going to see a change there. Pay attention to those children that's acting out too.
Exactly.
Because there's a root cause to that.
Something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Identify with that. Because we usually go to the strap, or want to whoop them and beat them. No, have a conversation with them. Because if you keep on beating them, they're going to keep on suppressing that. Then they're going to feel like they don't have no one to talk to. I remember when we were younger, we couldn't talk. We couldn't really express ourselves. So I commend your mother for even you being able to talk to her at least.
Right.
Like, we were made to be quiet. You in grown folks' face, so that was programmed too.
Right.
That as children, we can't talk.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We don't have a voice.
Right.
But you do have a voice. And we got to give our children that voice.
That's right.
We got to give them that voice.
Right.
So what would you say? Tell them how to get your book, to purchase your book, and what you got going on right now.
My book is Crying Out in the Dark, and it's available at my website, rongodfrey.com, for an autographed copy. If you don't care to have an autographed copy, that's fine. You can go to Amazon.com and order it there. And I ask that everyone that has already purchased a book to please go to Amazon and write a review and tell viewers what you think of the book. That's the book.
Okay. And then what about and he's an actor too as well. So tell him about the sitcom, the series that's coming out.
It's already out.
That's out.
Actually, yes. I'm blessed to be in a new series called Covenant that actually released a couple of weeks ago. I'm in the very first episode, and it's a great series actually. So you might want to go. It's on an all black network. All black. It used to be UMC. So if you could have a Roku TV or whatever, just look up the all black app, download it, and you'll be able to see it. I just finished filming a movie called Devastation a couple of weeks ago, and I have some other projects that's going to be filming this month and next month.
And how can they find you, Ron?
Y'all can find y'all can find me on Instagram at I am Ron Godfrey. That is IAMRONGODFREY. And you can find me on Facebook as well at Ron Godfrey, okay? And that's where you can find me.
Well, I thank you so much. We had an awesome time. And I just, pray great success for your book, and that people, really get it and really see what the message that is in there, and let them know, men, you can cry.
Listen,
cry.
Men, listen, get you some tissue and boo-hoo. It's all right.
Get it all out.
Just get it out. It's all right. It doesn't make you less of a man when you shed tears.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining